everyone. My name is Heather Stephenson, and I'll be here today talking with you about the Employee Assistance Program and the Making Life Easier program. So like it says here, I am the Employee Assistance Program Manager as well as a licensed mental health counselor. And today's objective is we're going to talk a little bit about the services that are provided to employees by the Employee Assistance Program and the Making Life Easier program. Know the two types of referrals that you can make to the Employee Assistance Program and how to refer an employee to the Employee Assistance Program. We're also going to talk a bit about how the Employee Assistance Program and the Making Life Easier program can help decrease presenteeism. So let's start there. Many people are aware of the idea or the concept of absenteeism and the impact it has on work. When someone's not at their job, the work isn't being done, the productivity suffers. Research has actually shown us that this concept of presenteeism actually has a bigger impact in the workplace productivity than absenteeism. And presenteeism is the concept that while someone may be physically in the workplace, whether that's telecommuting in the field or on site, they are not necessarily all there focusing. So it could be due to an illness, you've got the common cold that goes through, or something more severe than that, an injury, maybe some pain somewhere in their body, or some other condition. Maybe they just had an argument with a loved one before they got to the office and are still replaying that through their head. Maybe they're worried about their pet at home and hoping that they can find a pet sitter or walker. Maybe their pipes just burst because we had an unseasonably cold season and froze, and they're trying to figure out how to manage their workload as well as get providers and contractors out to their home to fix the issues. And so even though someone may be physically at work, they're not necessarily fully there performing their duties. Their attention is split. So that's what presenteeism is. And there's several things that can impact that and help reduce that so that people can come into work and focus in on their work. Now, are we always going to be able to be 100% focused on our work at every given moment? Probably not. We don't leave our home life and our whole selves at the door when we walk into to our office, wherever that may be, and come into the workplace. But we can kind of mitigate some of those moments and things like that that impact us at work by engaging in some of these services. So that is the goal of both the Employee Assistance Program and the Making Life Easier program, is to help reduce presenteeism, which increases productivity. So there's going to be a couple different things that we talk about as far as the Employee Assistance Program and the Making Life Easier program. And we wanted to talk a little bit first about the major differences. Ultimately, if you're unsure or your employee is unsure of who to contact, I would say it's better just to call or email and reach out. And if you get the wrong service, we will get you to the right program. But just to kind of keep it pretty simple, you can think about the EAP is for work-related issues or concerns, so anything that has a workplace nexus is for employees only, and can be used on work time. We are also not available 24/7. We are available during normal business hours. So if you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, me and my staff are not going to be there to answer. So just remember that. The Making Life Easier program is for non-work related issues. Both the employee and anyone living in the employee's home can access this program. So that includes children, partners, and people that maybe you just have a roommate and the roommate has a relationship with another person. So the roommate and the roommate's partner come into your home and are having some relationship issues. Maybe they need to go in to get some counseling so that their relationship issues and dramas can be assessed and taken care of and move forward with, so that you're not at work going, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted because I was up all night listening to my roommate and their partner argue. So it's a really great benefit and open to a wide variety of people, but they have to live in the employee's home. It also must be used on personal time. So either outside of work hours, or if someone wants to take sick time or leave to be able to use the program, they can do that. They are available 24/7. So if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you are working with an employee that's having a mental health crisis, or you yourself are having a mental health crisis, they're there for you to talk about what's going on, provide that crisis support, and help get you to an appropriate referral if necessary. This would also be a great place that if you're working with an employee and let's say they disclose to you that they've been having some suicidal thoughts. It happens very regularly. We would recommend that you contact the Making Life Easier program, even if it is during normal business hours, for initial support. Typically, both myself and my staff are going through the day. We have appointments, we have meetings. King County Way, we have lots of meetings, as I'm sure many of you are either know or are learning as leaders. And so we're not always able to respond in the moment right then and there. We will get back to you, but that doesn't necessarily help if you're in the moment with an employee, especially if they're having a crisis moment. And so having the availability of a counselor right then and there, you would contact the Making Life Easier program. So let's talk a little bit about their services. The Making Life Easier program, you'll also hear it referred to as MLE, because we at the county love our acronyms. So the first and biggest benefit of this program is it provides mental health counseling for employees and anyone living in their home. Again, it does not have to be a dependent per the tax code or per the benefits. So anyone living in their home can get the mental health counseling. You get up to 8 free confidential sessions, and that is per issue per year. So the way I kind of like to talk about this is, if let's say in January, maybe you or your partner or an employee or their partner is having maybe some relationship conflict, or just need some support. Maybe they're going through a really rough time. Things happen, and want to get an outside perspective, someone to help build some communication tools. So maybe they would reach out, go and do some couples counseling, get their 8 sessions. And then let's say, unfortunately, maybe in July or August, they have a death in the family and they need some support around grief and loss. Not that I would like that for anyone, but those are things that happen. And so they could go again and get another 8 free sessions of counseling based on the grief and loss. So they have to be 2 separate, clinically separate issues. Another thing that can be really impactful for our workforce is childcare and older adult care. Most people that are working are somewhere in that sandwich generation. Perhaps they've got younger kids at home that they have to figure out support for, or need a tutor for their teenager. As we get older, so do our parents and aunts and uncles, people that we care about in our life that we need to help support as they get older as well. Having those more difficult conversations around care facilities for our older adults in our lives, our family, our parents, is never an easy conversation. Finding the right resource for you is never a quick fix. It's always something that takes a little bit of time and effort. One of the things that Making Life Easier does is provide a resource referral system. So you can call in and say, I need a daycare facility for my 3-year-old, or I need an adult program for my 78-year-old mother, or a care facility for my father who has dementia. Can you help me find some resources? And they will find up to 3 resources, sometimes more, but that's the goal, is 3, that have active openings. And so you can at least start your research and your time with a group that actually has openings there at that time. Another benefit through the Making Life Easier program is our legal consultation benefit. This provides employees with a 30-minute free legal consultation with a lawyer or a mitigation specialist. And it is on a variety of topics. They've got lawyers available for you. If you should choose to, after you have that consultation, to retain that lawyer, you do receive a 25% off their legal fees. And you can use this for any sort of legal situation that you need, except for suing the county. Unfortunately, we're not going to pay for you to sue us. But if you were to call and said, hey, I think something's not going on right, and I'd like to sue the county, or at least talk to a lawyer about that, if you call Making Life Easier, they will at least give you a referral to the Washington State Bar Association so that you can perhaps find someone that may be able to talk to you about that. The other major program that we always like to highlight with the Making Life Easier program is the financial coaching. Through a program called My Secure Advantage, we have an opportunity to offer all employees once a year 90 days of free financial coaching. So one of the biggest stressors for people is finances. One of the top reasons why people get divorced or leave relationships is finances. This area is not a cheap area to live in. It can be very stressful. Debt is very easy to get into and very hard to get out of sometimes. And it can be helpful to talk with someone who is a financial coach, an expert in the area of finances, that knows about our PERS system, that knows about state and federal programs that might be available to you as an employee. You can call up, you can get your 90 days of free financial coaching. They also have a great website that you can access to. So if you're a little bit like me, sometimes I like to do a little self-help before I jump in and ask for someone else's opinion in on my life. So, I went onto their website and learned about different budgeting tools and can access those. That's helped me in my personal life. I've known other employees that have accessed the program and gave permission for me to share this with everyone, but they were working towards retirement and they were, in their early 40s, I think, at this time. So not quite there to that retirement age, but they could see it in the distance and wanted to make sure that they had everything in place so that when they were at retirement age, that they could do so comfortably. And to do that, they needed to take care of some debt ahead of time and knew exactly how much they should be saving or ought to be saving and how to get to a space where they could do that comfortably in their monthly budget. So those are things that can be done. If you had questions about things around mortgages, or if you wanted to buy a house or refinance a house, is this the right time? Questions around student loans, either for yourself, how to manage those, or for your children, things like that. That would be a great way to get that individual customized conversation based on your needs. And so, if you can do that and be more present at work because you're not worried as much about your budget or paying things off or what that financial future looks like. The next program that I'm going to talk about is the Employee Assistance Program. So we are providing counseling, coaching, communication tools, tips and tricks on mental health, and specifically around workplace issues and concerns. We spend a lot of time with individuals who are dealing with interpersonal conflict, whether that be with a supervisor, a customer, or a colleague. We provide supervisor support. You guys deal with a lot as leaders, having to manage your own body of work a lot of times, as well as your team's body of work. It can be overwhelming, and sometimes you feel like you have to come up with an answer immediately and don't always have support systems in place or access to those things. Definitely a time that you can give EAP a call. We can talk about the situation, what options are available for you. Our goal is to help alleviate workplace stress, decrease presenteeism, and we can also be a tool to help improve productivity, overall engagement with teams, and job satisfaction for your teams. We are confidential. So if you call us up and say, hey, did my employee such and such give you a call? What you'll hear is, unfortunately, without a release of information, we're not allowed to confirm or deny whether we've seen anybody. But you could tell me what's going on, and I can help talk with you about what options as a supervisor or leader are open to you in dealing with this situation. And we'll talk about what is available to you at that time. you and your employees can use the EAP on work time, and it is for employees only. So some of the areas that EAP works with employees are going to be around supervisor and HR consultation around FMLA, ADA, personnel issues, grievances. If you've ever had a grievance put up against a decision that you made, it is exceedingly stressful. I know from firsthand experience, as well as working with many of my clients. You start second guessing, you look through everything. Was that the right choice? And many times it was the right choice. But that process can has its impact as a leader. And so sometimes we talk with people. I've worked with many leaders that say, I just got done with a grievance and it was a very difficult process. And now I don't want to get into a situation where another decision of mine is grieved, irregardless of the outcome of that first grievance. And so they will feel kind of somewhat paralyzed sometimes in addressing issues or concerns. So one of the things that EAP does is when we're working with with supervisors and leaders is we may talk about what are the impacts of addressing that issue, what ways can you address that issue, and what's the impact if you don't, and what things are available to you if you don't, and the repercussions of either side of that action or inaction. We can look at that. If you have questions because one of your employees comes to you and says, hey, I'm having some mental health issues, or I'm having some physical health issues, and I'm just not quite sure what I need to do and how that's going to impact my work, you could definitely give us a call. I'd also recommend Disability Services. They're the experts in accommodations. But when it comes to mental health pieces, we definitely have that expertise as well to kind of talk about that, what other departments sometimes have done, and help connect you to your correct or your department's disability service specialist. We are a great place to stop if there's questions about workplace violence or domestic violence in the workplace. In fact, that's where you should be calling us. We talk a lot about how to find safety for all and being aware of different opportunities to seek safety when responding to situations like that in the workplace. We provide crisis support. So let's say in your workplace you had an incident and your team needs some support afterwards. So that could be something like there was a workplace injury that was seen and perhaps was pretty gruesome and impactful, or there was an employee death, whether it happened on site or not. We knew it was coming or not. Those are things that we can come and do and provide resources in some grief groups and processing for your team. We do that a lot with our partners in the Making Life Easier program, but if you had a situation that you were thinking you needed some support there for afterwards for your team, you would contact myself or my staff at EAP, and we would work with you to see what was needed and how we can help support there. And we also work with some of our peer support teams throughout the county, helping provide some clinical support to those teams. We provide resources. One of my favorite things about my job is that people will come to us and say, I don't know where else to go or where to start with problem X. And sometimes I go, oh yeah, let me get you to the right place, because it's not always EAP. There's lots of things that are not our area, but we'll be more than happy to get you or your employees to the correct area. Every now and again, I get something that I go, yeah, that's an interesting one. Let me think here. It's going to take me a minute, but we will work through that to try to figure out what the best resource is for you or your employee. We also work with employees around substance abuse or misuse concerns in the workplace. We work closely with the drug and alcohol program on different things around that as well. But if you are concerned and want to talk about the policy, the procedures, how does this look? What does this do? How do I interact with someone that I think may be having some signs and symptoms of impairment, you can definitely give us a call and we can walk you through that, what that looks like, what is our requirements as leaders to help provide a safe space for all employees to work, things of that nature. So, one of the things that I always like to let supervisors and leaders know where I see them coming into issues is where they feel like they're in a moment where they have to make a decision and they do it in somewhat of a vacuum. They feel like there's a time crunch or there's no one else around and available to talk with them. And so they will make a decision without consulting someone. And that's where sometimes I see the issues coming, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know until it's right there in your face and you learned you didn't know. And so one of the things I would really recommend is if you're finding yourself in that moment, reach out, give us a call. We can talk you through what are the options. Like I said before, if we don't know the answer, we don't know the policy, we are more than happy to do research with you and try to connect you to the right space so that you can get the support that you need so that we can support our workforce. And that's really the point of being in a leadership position, is supporting our workforce so we can get the job and support our communities. There are two types of EAP referrals here. The first one here, it's easier to explain. It's called the EAP formal referral. So these are situations where perhaps you have an employee who is having some difficulties in the workplace. Perhaps they may be facing discipline. An EAP formal referral can be done by a leader. There is a form that has to be filled out. It's done by either someone in a leader or supervisory position or HR. And it fills out that talks about the issues and concerns that they're seeing in the workplace and what you'd like to see the person working on, as well as anything that you as the department have done. And then you send that over to the employee to see. So they do get a copy and can see that. So we want to be conscientious of the language that we use when filling out those forms. I tell people try to stay away from diagnostic language. So even if the employee said, hey, I'm having some problems with depression, maybe writing in a formal referral, this employee is depressed is probably not the most appropriate. It would be okay to say this employee has reported to me that they're having signs and symptoms of depression. So just thinking about the language that you put on something like this, being conscientious of how that might impact, especially since the employee gets to see it. Shouldn't be the first step though. Typically, most of the time we would like you to see, have a verbal conversation with someone. If there's the actions in the workplace were egregious, then yes, it can be the first step. But a lot of times we would recommend that you have some conversations. You're working on coaching and counseling your employees before you go to this step as an EAP formal referral. Because if the employee does not engage with EAP, there could be further disciplinary action. It would be similar to if you were told that told you had to go to a mandatory training and your employee just said, no, not going to do it. I don't need that training. I'm not going. You can't make me. You could then move forward with further disciplinary action. When an employee doesn't follow up with a formal referral, there are still some recourses there. But we really want to look at this as a place for employees to look at the issues, see what are opportunities for them to act in different ways, find some tips, tricks, and tools so that they can change their behavior. So that they don't risk losing their job, that they can improve and grow and engage in different ways of either communicating or expressing themselves in healthier manners so that they can continue to work and be the great employee that we want everyone to be. This process does require a form. You have to fill it out. The employee has to sign it. Now, if they refuse, that's okay. Simply write that the employee refused to sign and send it to us anyways, but we want them to have an opportunity to see it and sign it. And what they're agreeing to when they sign it is not that they're saying, yes, my supervisor, I agree that I did all those things that my supervisors said I did and I'm wrong and a horrible employee. That's not at all what they're signing. What they're signing is that they acknowledge that they've been formally referred. and that we at EAP will be providing attendance information back to the person who referred. Whoever is the referral source on the form, we will send information on attendance to that referral source so that you know that we followed up. Anything else is considered a self-referral. So if we don't get that EAP formal referral form, we consider it a self-referral. So that doesn't mean that you as a supervisor or leader can't go and say, hey, have you heard about our EAP program? That might be really helpful. And here, let me help you get in contact with them. Would you like if I stayed with you in the room so you can be supportive? Those warm transfers or warm handoffs can be incredibly powerful and help that dynamic that you have with your employee, make them actually feel supported in sometimes not so great moments in their lives. Those are wonderful things. I highly recommend them, but we would still consider that a self-referral unless we have that form. So those are the two types of referrals, the formal referral and the self-referral. If at some point you feel like you have an employee who might need to be formally referred, or your HR says, hey, let's formally refer this person to EAP in conjunction with this discipline so that we can help curb this behavior before it gets, something where we're having to move even further down the discipline chain, give us a call or send us an email. We will then chat with you briefly so that we have an understanding of the situation and send you that EAP formal referral form. It's not very much to fill out. You fill out the name and contact information for the employee, who the referral source is, the name and contact information for that person, what's been going on, what has been done to address the issue, and what timeline you would like us to, or like the employee to contact us. If they don't contact us within that time frame, we then reach out to them. But it is better if they reach out to us. It helps engage in the process a little bit and give them some sense of control over the situation where they may feel really out of control and that they have no say. So those are the two types of self-referrals. I hope I give you a brief overview and you have a little bit of better idea of the programs as well as the services that both the Employee Assistance Program and the Making Life Easier program provide to both you as leaders as well as your employees. If you have any questions, we have the contact information here. We have our main EAP phone number of 206-263-8733. And HRDEAP@kingcounty.gov is the email to get to your internal EAP, as well as you can contact the Making Life Easier or MLE program. Their phone number is 1-888-874-7290. And I hope to hear from you if you have any questions or anything that we can help support you or your team on. Thank you so much for listening to me talk for a little bit about these programs, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.